Kingdom family. Kingdom family, kingdom family, kingdom family, kingdom family. Happy 1 year anniversary. Happy 1 year anniversary, Kingdom family. This is officially our 53rd Kingdom session. I haven't skipped 1 week. We've been here together for an entire year, officially an entire year together here at the Kingdom. And so if you are here right now live, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to be with all of you today. And whether you've just started joining us or you've been with us through the entire year, whether you're listening on the podcast or listening on the recordings or joining us live, I just want to say thank you. I want to honor you. I want to say happy 1 year anniversary, happy birthday, happy moment to all of us here and this incredible community that we have built far and wide. And so I see you, Allison and Leah and Suzanne, and my mom is here, and Kalani and Carrie and Kathy and Raylene and Aveline and Alonzo and everyone. It's just so amazing to me that we've been here together for an entire year without skipping a week. This community has been here every single week for the whole last year. And what a blessing this has been to all of our lives, So I want to know in the chat box, has anyone been here for all the sessions? Anyone but me? Anyone been here for all the sessions? Even if you were listening to the recordings, has anyone caught all of them? And today's session is one that I'm really excited to teach. I've actually been saving this session for our 1 year anniversary because it's something really special to me, and I think you'll love the play that we're gonna do on this or with this today. And so as I do in every single session, if this is your first time here at the Kingdom, please type in that it's your first time and you'll feel our community welcoming you. So just type the words first time in the chat box and you'll feel and see every single person welcoming you here. And here at the Kingdom, we believe that all beliefs are welcome here. We believe that all biologies are welcome here. We believe in the power of music and art to open our hearts and minds. And we believe that wisdom can come from many places. We believe in an expanded definition of self, knowing that we don't just honor and tolerate each other's differences, but we are stronger because of them. And this will lead into what's happening in today's sessions. And we rise together. And so I'm so grateful to be here with all of you. All of our sessions for the last year have started with either a poem, music, or song. We then dig into our prayer with a moment of personal prayer, and then our teaching, our practice, our golden nugget, and a power action to take us home. And so I'm looking in the chat box right now, I see so many of you have watched the recordings and been here for every single one. Devin and Allison and Emily and Carrie and amazing, all of you who've been here for so many. Is just a gift to be here. And I'm so excited to be able to meet so many of you live in person at Esalen. And so right now I'm wearing my We Rise Together shirt for all of you. I'm wearing my We Rise Together shirt. And I know many of you will be wearing those when you come to see us at Esalen, and we'll have some here for you in case you need them. And I think really this We Rise Together concept is a concept that's really important. And you'll see how that comes into play as we dive into today's session. And so I want to take a moment now before we go into our prayer to share with you something very exciting that some of you may have seen on my newsletter this morning, on my Instagram this morning, which is that the music video for Believe, which many of you are a part of, and welcome Paula, many of you are a part of, premieres this Friday, July 23rd, which is my Baka's birthday, who is my hidden hero. And so make sure you go to my Instagram and hit the link in my bio to go to the premiere link. We're actually gonna watch the video together on Instagram Premiere, so everybody will be there live at the same time. And of course, if you can't make it at that time, it'll be up later. But the video premieres at 11:30 a.m., so right around now, on Friday the 23rd. That's 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time, on Friday the 23rd, and you're gonna see this incredible video that has so many members of our community as a part of it. And I'm so grateful to be there. And I see Seza just posted the shirt here, the shirt link as well. And so hold on one second. One of you guys is asking me a question. Can we sing We Rise Together today, please? Yeah, I love that. We can do a little We Rise Together song, Aveline. I don't know that song, but I'll make one up. I'll make one up. So let's get in. Let's dive in. And as we dive in every session, we will start with our prayer. So go ahead and place your hands over your hearts and close your eyes if you're willing. And just drop into that sacred space that we all know and love. This place, this space that we have been creating together for an entire year. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for bringing this community together, and right here and right now, let us feel tangibly the web of connection from all of us tuning into this sacred space together from all over the world. May we tune into each other for a source of power. May we tune in to our own inner strength. May we remember the truth of who we are, and thank you for bringing us this community to remind us of who we are, to come back home to who we are, to come back to our center every time we forget. Thank you for the power that this community has opened up inside of me and inside of all of us. And may we remember that we rise together, stronger than ever now. We rise up now. And so, Kingdom family, this is your moment to welcome in your own personal prayer. We rise together, stronger than ever now. We rise up now. Our voices matter, the chains we shatter now. We rise up now. I matter, you matter, we matter now. I'm coming, we're coming, the truth comes out. Ooh, yeah. We found it, our voices coming out. We found it. We claim our freedom now. Unbounded, we claim our kingdom now. God, Spirit, Universe, all that is, remind us that we were unbounded in our freedom. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Shalom, Amen, Satnam, Awen, Om. Thank you. We rise together stronger than ever now. We rise up now. And this is We Rise Together. And many of you will remember this Unbounded song that we had the opportunity all together to write with the brothers Corin at the Kingdom. And I'll play it as we close out our session today, just to remind us of our theme song that we had here together at the Kingdom. And so I want to start actually with this poem that many of you have heard, and is the poem that actually birthed itself before I fully even knew exactly what the Kingdom was, or it really birthed itself in the same process of the Kingdom being born. And so these words feel like like in the beginning was the Word. These words to me feel like the genesis, of the Kingdom. And so this is on the website, and this one many of you have heard. And it says, "This is for everyone. Lesbian, gay, trans, bi, young, old, black, white, queer, hippie, straight, and fabulous. All are welcome to the magic that happens. This is not about telling you what to believe, but to connect you to something greater, to bring some relief to the struggles and pain that carry us forward. You can't stop us because we are the warriors. We'll come together every Sunday. We'll sing and we'll cry. We'll learn and we'll share as we all turn the tides. You'll learn wisdom teachings from the world's greatest lessons and connect to your power and call in your blessings. This isn't about inspiration. This is about action, because only then can we break from this faction. Welcome to the Kingdom inside. We rise together, and together we rise. Together we rise. And so here we are together, coming together across what are perceived as divides, coming together across religions, coming together across beliefs, coming together across space and time, and really space and time, because some of you are listening to the podcast in all these different places, and coming together to create this community of love. And for the next 2 weeks of the Kingdom, we'll be doing something very special, because many of you will be here in person with me at Esalen next weekend and the weekend after that at the 2 retreats. And so we will be live streaming the Kingdom with all of you, many of you here. And those of you who are not here in person, you'll be with us here together. And so happy birthday, Kingdom family. This is just as much a birthday to me as it is to each and every one of you. And let's dive in today to our teachings. So before we dive into the teachings, I brought this little thing. Y'all know when I bring this little thing, it's really on, right? So, this song, you all know. And I'm just going to sing a little part of it now, and maybe a part of it later, because it feels important as it relates to, well, it's for you. Little boy, don't cry. You've been in pain. Enough. Little girl, don't hide. You're finally safe. Enough. I am enough. I am golden, baby. I am enough. I am enough. You are enough. You are golden, baby. You are enough. You are enough. All right, here's what I want you to do. So I want you to find somebody's name in here. Somebody who's here. And I want you to type their name into the chat box. And then type "you are enough." So it could say, "Aveline, you are enough." Or "Barbara, you are enough." Or "Prince, you are enough." And if you see more people's names coming in the chat box, you can type in their name too. And all together, we tell each other that we are enough. Feel it. You are enough. Let this be a prayer from you. You are golden, baby. You are enough. Mom, Prince, Allison, Aveline, Anna, everybody. You are enough. Oh, you are golden, baby. You are enough. You You are enough. You are enough. Just keep sending it, keep sending it, keep sending it. Everybody is enough here. And then just close your eyes and whisper the words now to yourself. Just whispering, you are enough, like you're speaking to the childhood version of you. Come on, just for you, close your eyes. You are enough. Whisper it. You are golden, baby. You are enough. You are enough. If it feels silly, try harder. You are enough. Go deeper. You are golden, baby. You are enough. That child in you needs it. You are enough. One more time for all of us. You are enough. Oh, you are golden, baby. You are enough. You are enough. You are enough. Oh, you are golden, baby. You are enough. You are enough. You are enough. Ooh, you are enough. Ooh, you are enough. I am enough. You are enough. We are enough. And we'll come back to that later and see how this pulls through. But really just feeling the music as a prayer and writing to each other. Each of us are here. Reminding each other, Daniel, Tim, everybody, this community, that you are enough, okay? And so one of the things that I want to really wake up in the chat box today as we go through this session of our kingdom session together here is I want to really wake up the energy of all of us feeling ourselves here in community. And so remember, if you see or hear me say anything or anybody else say anything that you resonate with, just type those words into the chat box. You can also put your hands up. This is like our little prayer hands in the corner. If you feel or hear me say anything that makes you want to say like amen or yes or I got you or whatever. And if you don't have emoji hands in your chat box, you can just put the number 1 in your chat box a whole bunch of times. And this is like us holding or putting our ones up, in the corner. And so as I go through, as you go through, hands up, ones up, and we'll feel how this impacts the growth. And yes, tears are always welcome. And thank you everybody for being here present with us today. So as we dive into today's session, we are talking about, I'm so excited about this, the power of power. How about that? The power of power, everybody. And it's so fascinating because I mentioned this to you guys before. When I was coming up with the idea for the kingdom, it took me a minute, right? It was like birthing itself through me very slowly. I had no intention on leading any sort of a almost church, non-religious kind of church service at all. This was not a part of like anything that I was able to see. But now that I feel it, I know that this is the big part of what it is that we are here to do together, and a big part of the vision for my life in the world, because I know what it feels like, not just what it looked like. And so here we are. And when I was starting the kingdom, and why the power of power is so fun for me, is because the original name of the kingdom was going to be called Power Sundays. Power Sundays. That was the original name before it was the kingdom. And it was going to be this motivational thing about power and this and that. And I think I'm still going to use Power Sundays when I go on tour with this a little bit, which yes, is in the works. But it changed to the kingdom and really came through me in a stronger way. But power has been, if you noticed, an element of every single week. Every week has been the power of something. And so what does it mean to have power? What is it to have the power of anything if we don't even fully understand power and what it means to have power and be empowered and what is power? And so today we are going to dive in very deeply. Excuse me as you see me looking all over the place because I have a few windows open today on the 4 forms of power. and how to use these 4 forms of power in your life to change your life, and how you might not be wanting to use some of these forms of power that might be holding you back from stepping into your light and stepping into your power. So I want you all to type these in so you remember them as we continue to go through today's session. These are the 4 forms of power. Power over, power under, power with, and power together. Type those in. Power over, power under, power with, and power together. And we're going to go over these so you can see how these forms of power show up in your own life in ways that may be helping you, but also in ways that may or may not be harming you, and how you can wake up to the true power that is within you. So let's start by talking first just about the word power. And what is it that power actually means as a word and a concept in general, without adding the over, the under, the with, and all of that onto as well. And those of you who have heard about power over and power under in this, I think I may talk about it a little bit differently than you might expect. And so here we talk about power. And the etymology of power is really fascinating. So looking at the origins of the words. And so the origins of the word, we see first, okay, I'm going to kind of do it a little out of order than I normally would here just to show you the point. But we have posse, which goes to poir, which means to be able. And then we go to the original root, original root, which is poti, which means powerful. And I want to catch you on this. The word poti, when it comes from the original root, means Lord. I need you all to feel that. Means Lord. And so when we think of power, I have little goosebumps on my arm. So the reason I have the goosebumps is because when we think of to be able and to have power and to be able to create, right? It is Lord, which is in all forms. We've used Lord in many different religions and traditions and all these ways to mean that power that is that thing, that power that is endless and infinite around us and within us and inside of and through all things. That allows those things to be able to even exist in the first place is because there is a power radiating from within all things at the same time, and the power in you and the power in me and the power in the trees and the power in the earth and the planet spinning and the moon circling and all the things that have power within them is right here. It is right here. To be able. Not just to be able to do something, but to be able. I want you to really understand. Do you understand how I'm breaking this down? Not to be able to go to the store, to be able to create my music, to be able to sing. To be able. Period. To be able means that you have something within you that is moving, that is accessible, that is enlivening you, that has given you the power to be able. And so here we are with the opportunity to be able to not just be alive, but to be able, period. To be is because of the power of, as it says here, the origin of the word, Lord. And I'm not going Lord just mean the Bible or this or that, but that thing. And so this word power doesn't even exist without understanding the power of God, the power of the something greater. The word power does not exist without it. And so here we are as we understand that full power and true power deals with us diving into something much greater than ourselves and knowing where our power really and truly comes from. And so the Bible, I'm going to show you a couple different forms here. And so the Bible talks about power in a lot of different ways. And we hear it often in this Greek word in the Bible that's there again and again, dunamis. I don't know how you say it exactly, but whatever, you see it on the screen. And so it's, when it talks about power in the Bible, it talks about an inner strength that does not depend on outward things. This is the way the Bible looks at power constantly, is around an inner strength that does not depend on outward things. So if we look at, this is really fascinating, right? Because if we look at power, and we even say that our power comes from God, and we think of God or the divine, whatever words you go by, and that's something greater than ourselves. If we think of that thing as something outside of ourselves, that's not this kind of power that the Bible's talking about, because it says that it doesn't depend on outward things. So that must mean that if God or the universe or the divine or spirit is power, and that power is an inner strength that does not depend on outward things, then as one of my good friends says, Jazz, who says so beautifully, does that not mean that you are the universe? That you are God? That if you have power and you are alive, then you are God. You are it. You are able. Because it doesn't rely on something outside of you. So if it has to rely on something within you, but we're saying that power means God, then does that not mean that you are God? And if you are God, then how do you express power? I'm going to be bringing a special guest on to talk about being God and what that really means at some point soon. Her name is Jazz. Her Instagram is The Moon Mother. And she's really inspired me with this concept. But you have to really understand that. We think this, right? We think this concept all the time, like, oh, I'm God, or it's supposed to be out there, but it's telling you right here that it's inside of you. So if you are God, then you don't have to force. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to coerce or use your power in a bad way, because the power is inside of you. The one within all things, including you. So there's power in the Bible. Now let's talk about to be able to do something. This is a Martin Luther King's definition of power. The ability to achieve purpose and affect change. So if we're stringing these together, and God, the universe, the divine, the spirit, whatever you call it, whatever you call that something greater, every belief is welcome here. If it is in you and it is outside of you and it is in all of us and you are it, then would that not give you the power to achieve anything that your life or your mind would say that you would want to achieve, because your mind and your life is the power that is God? And so could you not then change anything that needs to be changed in your life? Because you are God. Because you are power. Because it is inside of you, not outside of you. So when we pray to God, God's not asking us. When we pray to the universe or the spirit or whatever it is, you guys know, when I say God or the universe, y'all know I'm saying whatever name it goes by for you is interchangeable. When we're praying, we have to remember, you're not praying to this thing that's outside of yourself. Yes, sure, it's outside of you, but it's also inside of you. Because that inner strength that is not outside of you is how you get the power to affect change, because you are the master of your fate. You are the captain of your ship. Because you are God. You are the universe, literally and scientifically. You are made of all that same stardust. And so when we look at Another definition, this is from a great book that I love to read called Power versus Force. It says, power is that which sustains life. It doesn't move in any direction. It just expands. So I want you to think about this book, and we'll talk about this more later. Power versus force. Power versus force. And this book has been incredibly life-changing to me. And force has to push something in another direction. If you're forcing something, automatically that means that there's something coming at you from another direction that you're trying to push against. It was a concept that Elton Anderson had shared with us when I had him as a guest. He said, if you're running, that means something's chasing you, right? If you're pushing, if you're forcing, that means something is working against you. But power, real true power, doesn't have to force or push anything in any other direction. Doesn't have to push anything in a direction. I want you to think about a power that doesn't have to push anything in a direction. It just is. Think about gravity. Gravity radiates out. We all feel the impact, but there's nothing pushing against gravity itself. Gravity is a power, right? So we think of these laws and the powers of the universe and the power of life itself. And so that life force that is within you and power, I need you guys to really get this point. Real power is that which sustains life. And this is when we go back to poti, Lord, pose, poer, to be able. To be is sustaining life. The I am is because you are able. And then we can add, like Martin Luther King talked about, right? We can add anything that you want onto this. I am able to step into my dreams. I am able to become a musician. I am able to have a family. I am able to, but before you're able to anything, you are, period, able, period. Because you are God. Y'all follow me? This is a little philosophical here, but I need to hear in the chat box. Give me some hands up or some ones up or something if you are all following me on this so far, because I wanted to give you the real, it's complicated, but it's so simple. It's just you are. And we're going to talk about how this sustains life, and then now I'm going to give you all some very, very, very clear examples on how to break this down in a practical way, because you guys know that I'm all about action. And I see you all here in the chat box, by the way. Love how y'all are living on this in the chat box. This is it, right? This is it. Hold on one second. A little sip of my power juice. I'm just kidding. So we're going to talk about the 4 forms of power now, okay? Power over, power under, power with, and power together. Let's start with power over. Power over is what I think really could be defined as force. Power over can be defined as force. And to me, it's the least effective form of the power. It's the one form of power that always fails. It's the one form of power that doesn't sustain, because power over something means that it is power that is derived by fear, by lack, by scarcity, and by force. And so when you have power over something, or somebody has power over you, it is not sustaining life because it is forcing you or something in another direction and taking away the godness, the universeness, the power that is already inside of you. And it's giving it to someone else, and they're having the power over you. So I'm going to give a few examples here, okay, to help you know if somebody has power over you. And it's not just a person. It could be a thing, it could be a situation, it could be your job, it could be something can have power over you. And power over is this top-down, dominant structure that really, truly breaks life down, does not sustain life. Life meaning the to be able. Because, again, if somebody has power over you, then you are not able. And so you then have lost power, which means you've lost the godness inside of you, which means you've lost some of your life force. Weaving it all together here. Governments exactly try to do. So I know these are going to be small for some of you on your phone, so I'm going to read them through pretty quickly. So power over. You know that somebody has power over you, or you're in a power over situation if you seek approval more often than checking in with what feels right for you. If you believe your needs are not as important or that you don't deserve to have them met. If you don't speak up when something is happening that is a violation of your ethics. If you ask for or willing, okay, got it. Sorry, I read that weird. You know somebody has power over you or a situation has power over you. If you ask for or willingly receive advice from this person about areas of your life outside of the dimension in which that person has any authority. So this person has no authority, has no whatever, but you are seeking their advice or approval before you can even do the thing. You know you're in a power over situation when you bend your sense of personal boundaries to accommodate this person's wishes. There's more. You know that you're in a power over situation when you feel like you are in a trance around this person, like you can't access your life force or all of who you are or your sense of what's true around them. You know you're in a power over situation when you feel smaller, speak in a smaller voice, or literally make yourself smaller in posture. You know you're in power over if after talking to this person you feel confused or fuzzy or disconnected from yourself. You know you're in power over if you lose your sense of humor and creativity around this person, or you imagine you don't have a choice, or you can't say no. And sometimes power over is silent. And you just take a moment and pause. Let's take a moment together and just pause. Because that feels like a lot sometimes when we recognize that we are in a power situation, dynamic that is unhealthy. And also to recognize when you are the one who is trying to have power over someone else. Watch how this happens with your children or your grandchildren. Watch how this happens with your coworkers. Watch how this happens with people who you think you're supposed to have power over. And then watch the other spin of it, of when you are the one who has power is happening over you. And this is, again, draining your life force because it's draining your ability to be able. Because you are not able if the other person's power is pulling away your truth, pulling away your authenticity, making you fuzzy. Yes, I will put the slide up again. And so it's funny, I think about my grandma, my baka. She used to say, my mom will know, I am not able. I'm not able. She'd say, oh Lord, I ain't able. I ain't able. And it was just great when she was like, I'm not able, was when she knew that whatever it was and whoever it was taking away her power. And she would say, honey, I ain't able. Remember that, Mom? I haven't thought of that in a long time. And so it was an amazingly it's such a simple statement, but it was when she knew that something was going to take away her power, her life force, her connection to God, make her feel smaller, make her think, make her imagine she had no choice, make her something, she would say, I ain't able. And it really goes back to the definition of power, to be able, right? And so it's like, no, I ain't able with this person, so I'm not going in this situation, so I'm not going in. And so this is a really important concept, right? So you have to understand when you're in a power over situation on one side or the other. And the real truth is when something, and this is it, okay? It doesn't have to be a person. Sometimes our trauma internally is having a power over dynamic with us. You know, I think about all the moments that I really hid myself from singing because of getting bullied and teased when I was a kid, or I hid myself from moving the way I wanted to move, or singing or dancing, or expressing myself in the way I wanted to express, because I got bullied and teased when I was a kid. And so then as an adult, I hold myself back from doing those exact same things, even though I'm not getting bullied and teased, because the circumstance or the environment is still having power over me. It's taking away my ability to be able to act in sovereignty in the way that I want, because something else has power over me. So I shut down my voice. And so then when I sing, it's taking your power back from that situation. And you have situations like this in your own life. So it can be a condition, it could be a context, it could be trauma, it could be a person, it could be your job, it could be your circumstance, it could be a parent, it could be a societal condition, it could be a government. Power over. And the truth is that power over never in the long term never wins. And I'll tell you why. But first, let's go into power under. Power under. Now this is going to be a big one. This is going to be a big one that some of you guys are going to feel like I'm calling you out, okay? And I need you to listen to me very closely about power under here, all right? Power under is victim and scarcity minded and comes from a position of lack. Okay? Now, you all know, before I even say what I'm gonna say next, okay? You all know that I am all about, and I am a full-on teacher and educator and proponent and liver of equality and social justice and human rights and activism. But the example that I want to give you right now is going to make you think about things in an interesting way. Power under is when you actually get your power from being the victim, of always being the one who has something or someone who has power over you. And because something or someone has power over you, you actually weaponize your oppression. You weaponize your victimization. You use your victimhood as a weapon to actually exert your power. This is an unhealthy form of power. Y'all following me on this one? And so this is when I have to be very careful watching inside of social justice circles when I go inside of this world, because there's a lot of power under, right? It's constantly getting comfortable in this position that we are the oppressed, we are the oppressed, we are the oppressed. And so even if there is a win, in the world, you can't feel the win. You can't feel the excitement. You can't celebrate the justice. You can't, because if you did, it would take you out of the position that says that I'm the one who has power under, so I always got to ask for things. I always got to fight for something. I always got to be something always got to be wrong. I always got to prove myself. Always got to try to make sure. So this is power under. And this is that person in your life who is always the victim, who always needs help. And then they're constantly needing help and being the victim and poor me, and something's always wrong, and something is always unjust, or something that they always need. In that way, they actually exert their power, and they take your power away, because you then choose to do things that you don't really want to do because you're trying to cater to their victimhood. And in your catering to their victimhood, you're actually enabling them to continue to be powerless, and you're taking the power away from them because they are not able, and you're taking the power away from yourself. So now we got double toxic situation. We got you giving away your power, building up resentment. You got them having no power, but really exerting their power in a way because they just want to be the victim and always need something from you. Yep, we all got it. I feel honored. We all know someone or something in our life like this that makes us feel this way. And then we feel, oh, like we should be doing something for them. We should be giving them all of our time. We should be going to do these, even though we don't really want to. Because the person who has the power is under. Power under. Y'all following me on this one? Yep. I'm seeing you in the chat. So this is big. Power under is a big one, and you need to watch in your own life and watch outside in all circumstances where you might be exerting that or where you might be engaged in that. Okay, so these first forms are kind of the unhealthy forms of power, but we're going to get to the healthy version. All right. Okay, let's talk about the next one. I'm turning the music down for this one because this is a big one. Power with. Okay? And I'm seeing Allison and how Allison is discussing how Allison approached her recent cancer diagnosis that she's overcome, that she was not the victim. It had no power over her and she's fine now, right? She approached it from this healthy situation, which I'll share with you later because Allison, I think you're a great example of this. And so power with. Now, a lot of circles, those of you who've studied this before, have heard this before, a lot of circles will tell you that power with is good. That power with is what we want and how we want to approach everything and like the way that we want it to be. And I think that's true sometimes, but I want to approach a different way of being, okay? And much love to you, Kathy. And so power with, the reason why I don't love power with is because power with sometimes involves entanglement. Entanglement, which we've heard this word before, but I know Jada Pinkett Smith and August, whatever his name is, Alsina or whatever his name is, made this word kind of popular in a way. Entanglement, meaning that our power and another person's power are entangled with one another, and then we don't have power unless we're together. Codependency, entanglement, reliant. It's a power with often means that it's reliant on another, meaning that you don't have the power alone. Now, obviously, there are some ways when power with can be good, right? Because we think we want to share power and this and that. But we think about, I've thought about often, especially as I've been exploring the idea of getting back into dating and this and that, reading about healthy relationships, right? There's relationships in which there is a healthy bond, meaning the two people come together and create something stronger, right? But there's entanglement in relationships to where both people are so entangled, so codependent, that they can barely exist without one another. That they can barely even be apart from one another. That if they're apart from one another, then all of a sudden you don't feel whole anymore. And if you don't feel whole unless you're with someone, then you are still giving away your power because you are able, because God, the universe, spirit, is inside of you on your own. And so when we come together, we're really, if we're doing it in a healthy way, we're just activating a greater form of power by being together, not entangling the with. And so we have to just be very careful here when we think about who we're sharing our power with. And if we're giving our power away, if we're entangling our power, or if we're just holding our power ourselves and welcoming in another person's power, allowing them to have their full power while you hold your full power, which leads me to the final form of power, which to me is the only form of power that I'm interested in, and that is power together. power together. Power together. I want you to feel these words. If we break down the definition of the word power, like we started with today, we have power, which means to be able, together. Power, which means Lord, God, the universe, all that is right inside of you, together. Not with, not over, not under, together. Which means everybody retains the power, the godness, the ableness that is within them together. And this is the kind of power that I have been, every single time we're in the session here, waking up inside, not waking up, reminding you that is inside of you. Every single time is that you have the power, and when we come together, we have the power. And this is how we talk about the individual and the collective, or as Dan Siegel may have called it, MWE, which many of you know. So let me explain this to you, because this will help define power together in a really deep way, with, power together, and power over, under. So oftentimes when you hear people saying, it's the individual versus the collective. You hear people saying that. Is it going to be an individual choice, or is it going to be a collective choice? Is it going to be an individual this, or is it going to be a collective this? And that we need to move from the individual to the collective, right? I think that's bullshit. I don't think we need to move from individual to collective, because a collective is nothing but a bunch of individuals together. So there's nothing to move to, right? Individual and collective are one. It's just a collective is a bunch of individuals. So we have to be able to understand how to welcome in the individual and the collective, not toward the collective, not to the collective, not versus the collective. The individual and the collective together is power together. Okay? Power over is when we look at the collective has the power, the government has the power over the individual. Power under is when we're like the poor me, the individual who doesn't have any power, everything's over me, or we have to move it to the collective. Power with is when we say, oh, we have to go from one or the other. And then power together is the individual and the collective together, which Dan Siegel so beautifully calls MWE. MWE. Which is not me to we, it's me and we. All of it together. And so this is just a super, super powerful way to think about how we live our life in the world. Because we then get to ask ourselves very clearly, how do we take this into our lives? And so now, before we close, I want to guide us all into a short practice. You ready? Let's practice together, my friends. So go ahead and place your hands over your heart. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. And on the count of 3, I want you to exhale everything out of your system through your nose. 1, 2, 3. Exhale everything out and come to completely empty. Beautiful. Now to my count of 3, inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3. Again, inhale 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3. Last time, deep breath in. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. And now just breathe normally. Breathe deeply. Rest your awareness in the flow of power that is inside of you. The power that is allowing you to breathe. The power that is allowing you to think, that powers your mind. The power that powers your heartbeat to continue beating in your chest. The blood to flow through your veins. Is the same power that allows a tree to grow, a plant to sprout, a flower to blossom, the waves to flap and crash against the shore, the earth to spin and the moon to circle, the sun set and to rise, is the same power that is inside of you, allowing your heart to beat. What happens when you bring your awareness to that power? That force inside of you. Beyond thought, beyond reason, even if you just get a little glimmer of its light, without forcing or trying, notice it. Everything around you, the birds chirping, the plants in your house and outside, everything around you is fueled by this power. Everything is able, potis, power. And there's nothing to contain. Let it be free. Let it be able in you. And now I'm going to ask you a few questions. And I want you to start just with your eyes closed, sensing into this power in all things that is manifesting here together at this point. And as I ask you the questions, when you have an answer, you can just open your eyes, write down the answer to your question, or type it in the chat if you want, and then immediately go right back in with your eyes closed for the next question. And we're going to have about 4 or 5 of them. All right? So, feeling into your power the best you can. Here's your first question. Where am I forcing things in my life? Where am I forcing things in my life? And just notice what arises, and you're welcome to type it in or write it down if you don't want to share publicly. And then as soon as you're done typing in or writing down, close your eyes. Back into your power. And if it's helpful to have your eyes open, maybe looking at a plant or a tree. Done writing it, we go to the second question, which is, where am I the victim? Where am I the victim? In what circumstances am I the victim? And then when you're done, come back, eyes closed. Take a breath as we prepare to go into the next question. Where am I sharing power? And how does it feel? And be honest, how does it really feel? Is it a healthy sharing? Is it an unhealthy sharing? Are there elements that are healthy and not? Where am I sharing power? And how does it really feel? And whenever you're ready, you can type in your answer, write it down, close your eyes and come back. And just letting whatever come up. Finally tapping in to your source of power, we have 2 more questions. Whose power do I call upon when I need support? Whose power do I call upon when I need support? And you can be as practical and realistic or as subtle and woo-woo about this as you'd like. But be real with yourself. Whose power do you call upon when you need support? I know I call on my mentor and friend and teacher, Brenda, often. And once you write that down, your final question, this is the one to really dive into. Feeling into your source of power. Where do I need to create a new relationship to power now? Where do I need to create a new relationship to power now? Just type that in when you're ready. And then just one last moment, feeling into that, consciously feeling into that sense of power that's always right there, spinning, allowing the earth to move, the stars to shine, your light to shine. Come back into the room. And you can just scroll and take a look at some of the ways that people have engaged with, or maybe need to make some adjustments of power in their own life. And so I love this, that many of you said when you need support, you said, I call on me, I call on myself. And see, what's so beautiful about that is if God is within you, then calling on yourself is calling on God, is calling on Spirit, is calling on the divine. And so sometimes we call on other people, and if we remember that the divine is within them, then what we're really calling on is the divinity within them to reflect back to us the divinity within ourselves. I know that Brenda, who many of you hear me talk about, who has been here on The Kingdom, I call on her often when something's coming up that has me kind of triggered. And what she does every single time is that it may sometimes be advice, or she may do a reading or something for me, but what it is she is really truly reflecting the power in me back to myself so that I can wake it up and remember who I am. And that's really what all of these teachings and what the power is really all about here for us. And so now we go into what we do in every single one of our Kingdom sessions, our power action. How do we take this into our lives and actually take this sense of empowerment, of power into our lives? Well, the way is to take action. And so I want you to ask yourself, what is something that I need to shift my relationship to as it relates to power? And the question then is, this is the last question I asked you, the question then is, what is the first step that I need to take to reclaim some of my power back? What's the first step that I need to take to reclaim some of my power back? And I'd love for you to just explore that over the next day or two. And most importantly, take the action. What is the one step? You know what it is. And your mind is going to try to start rationalizing why you shouldn't do it, why you should do it later, why you should wait. And when that's happening, that is the power over or under or with infusing itself into your mind and keeping you under, over, in control. And so when you know it's not next week, it's not later, it's now. And so maybe, so we can hold each other accountable, type it into the chat box. I see you, Diaris. This is beautiful. So create that new story, and it's time for power. So maybe you type your power actions into the chat box. All right, everybody. As we close our session now, I want you to think of your one golden nugget from this session. So what we do in every single session of the kingdom is just place your hands over your heart. Take a deep breath in, close your eyes, and just think of if there was one thing from today's session that you could remember, what would that one thing be? What would the one thing be that you could remember if you could remember it forever? We talked about power over, under, with, together, the definition of power, how it shows up in our lives. And as you're typing that in, your golden nugget, I want to give you guys like just a very, very, very practical example, okay, of power and how power really takes us forward and wins. True power, that which sustains life, always wins. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples, okay, that are very simple, and I'll be quick about these. So I'm going to give first just a super practical one so you can see that we pull this out of like a spiritual context and you can really feel how it works. So I want you to think about Airbnb. Okay, so think about Airbnb, the company where you can, do vacation or rentals. So many of you may remember that Airbnb, okay, when it first came out and started getting popular, hotels and everybody, cities, people's neighbors, people's community councils, all these people were against Airbnb, shut down Airbnb. Airbnb's ruining this, Airbnb's ruining that, Airbnb's messing up the hotel industry. I don't know if y'all remember this, but this was just a handful of years ago, right? And all of that power over and power under was force, was trying to push against and push Airbnb away. That force was trying to push it away. The power under was, it's ruining our neighborhoods. The power over is we're the hotel chains and we're gonna make the money and the blah, 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 right? So this power, and these are major conglomerates, hotel chains that have been around for generations and generations. The biggest companies in the world couldn't take Airbnb down. Why? Because they were trying to use force. They were trying to use power over and power under. Airbnb has always been about power together. Because what Airbnb did, when we look at something that is powerful, it can include all things. It can include more. It's not taking away anything from anybody. In its own existence, it is actually helping to sustain life and generate more power. And so if you look at Airbnb's structure, what they've done, they've allowed everybody, whether you are a RV, a couch, a mansion in Big Sur over the ocean, a villa, a hotel room, anywhere in the world, in the most remote places or beyond, has allowed those people to experience more life, experience more abundance, experience more bookings, experience more freedom for the people who were trying to rent rooms and people who were trying to go out in the world but were not able to afford it before, didn't feel safe to. And so Airbnb wasn't trying to force or push anything. Airbnb was in power together. They said, come in hotels, come in everybody, come in. You can keep your sovereignty, you keep your house, you keep everything. This just adds more power all around. It's that which sustains life. Airbnb doesn't have to force hotels. And so now here we are, Airbnb still existing even after the greatest forces of life pushing against it. And so this is a super simple example, but we can go into how this works, where there are big forces that seem like they're impossible to overcome, that overcome because it's about true power together. Look at slavery. Look at segregation. Look at Nazi Germany. Places where the sheer number of people were against it, where the people in power, the governments, were against it, where everything in the world was against it. And there is a small faction of people who believe in true power, in power together, in sustaining life, that which sustains life. And that power is the power that changes the world. That power is the power that changes the world. And that power is inside of you and me. This is the power of power. I love you all so much, Kingdom family. I love you all dearly. Let us dive in to our closing prayer. God, Spirit, universe, all that is, all that ever has been, and all that ever will be, we thank you. Thank you for bringing our community together. Thank you for this 1 year together where we get to grow and learn and remember our power. Thank you for the next couple of weeks being able to be together in person with the community. And thank you for remembering and reminding us to remember that we rise together. So it is. Ashe, Aho, Salam, Amen, Awen, Satnam, Om. Thank you. And we'll close out with the song that we all wrote together, Unbounded. Enjoy, everybody. I love you so much. We rise together.
We rise together, stronger than ever now. We rise up now.
Our voices matter, the chains we shatter now.
We rise up now. I'm mad, you mad, we matter now. I'm coming, we're coming, the truth comes out. We found it, our voices coming out. Unbounded, we claim our freedom now. Here we go. They wrote the story, we changed the letters now. We rise up now.
Honor those before me, on wings of glory now.
We rise up now. I'm mad, you mad, we matter now. Ooh, I'm coming, we're coming, the truth comes out. We found it, our voices coming out. Unbounded, we claim our freedom now. We found it, our voices coming
you're going through in your life right now, no matter who you love, no matter what color your skin is, that you are worthy, that you are unbounded, and that your voice matters. And together, we rise. Come on, forward.
We found it. Our voices coming